This is a Sports Catastrophe production.
Hey there, Heather, ho there, it's Jeff Cutastrophe. Welcome to the Sports Catastrophe on this day. And on this day, November the 18th, 1997, two new baseball teams were ready to roar with the expansion draft, as Tampa and Arizona would be picking players and trying to build their franchises for the 1998 season, which of course is the last time that baseball had expanded. So anyway, Major League Baseball, after the success of the Rockies and Marlins in 1993, decided to try, a few years later, to try to pick up two more expansion teams. Well, it was kind of needed because the American League had 14 teams and National League had 12, so they wanted to add two National League teams. Well, 15 and 13. No, 14 and 14. So Tampa Bay and Phoenix were picked as the two expansion franchises. Tampa bringing the amount of baseball teams to Florida to two, and Arizona getting some baseball because, Arizona hosted spring training games. So anyway, these two happened. The big news, of course, was that they didn't want to go with two groups of 15. So Milwaukee decided to bolt from the American League to the National League. So the National League would have 16 teams, the American League would have 14. Anyway, similar to the 92 expansion draft, both teams would take 35 players. Oh. So anyway, there were actually 3 rounds. Each team could select 14 players in round 1, then 14 in round 2, and 7 players in round 3. The Devil Rays and Diamondbacks were told that they could pick any player not on the protected list of the 28 other teams, and no team can lose more than one player in a given round. So each team would have a protected list. 15 players from each organization of the teams not in the expansion draft, not picking the expansion draft, both their 40-man roster plus their minor league affiliates would be protected. And then after round 1, they could add 3 more players. All players in an organization were eligible to be drafted except those with no prior Major League service who have had less than 3 years service if signed older than 19 or less than 4 years of service. Players who were free agents after the 97 season need not be protected. So anyway, Arizona won the coin toss but decided to pick second because they would get the second and third picks. So Tampa went first and took Tony Saunders off the Marlins roster. Saunders had just celebrated a World Series ring with the Marlins. Unfortunately, it would be short-lived as Tony Saunders would actually get hurt when his arm snapped in a game in Tampa Bay. Brian Anderson, not the commentator, but a left-handed pitcher from Cleveland's organization, went second overall to Arizona. Arizona then had the third pick and took Jeff Suppan from the Boston Red Sox. Suppan would go on to be NLCS MVP in 2006 for the Cardinals, but yeah, he was a Diamondback. Tampa's second pick was Quentin McCracken from Colorado. McCracken would be a pretty good outfielder and all that. Arizona went 5th overall and took Gabe Alvarez from San Diego. Tampa Bay went 6th and took Bobby Abreu from the Houston organization. But it was kind of a preordained move as Tampa would pick Abreu and trade him to Philly for Kevin Stalker. Good shortstop. Unfortunately, though, Abreu would do many great things with the Phillies organization. 7th overall went to Arizona and they took Jorge Fabregas, a catcher from the White Sox. Tampa went 8th and took Miguel Cairo from the Cubs. Arizona went 9th and took Kareem Garcia from the Dodgers. Kareem Garcia would not be known until a few years later when he was a Yankee. And Tampa Bay took Rich Butler, a Canadian from the Blue Jays organization. Other key picks. Arizona went 13th and took Corey Lytle, who was off the Mets organization, but who died in a plane crash, unfortunately. Dimitri Young was picked 16th by Tampa Bay off the Cincy organization, and Dimitri would be a pretty good player. Tampa took Esteban Yon 18th from the Orioles organization, and he was their main closer, if you will. Tampa took Mike DeFelice, 20th catcher from St. Louis. Tampa took Bubba Treble, 22nd from Detroit. These are key players. Dennis Springer was taken by Tampa Bay, 26th from Anaheim. Tony Batista was taken from the Oakland organization by the Diamondbacks. But Batista would be better known as being a decent Blue Jay a few years later. Actually, Dimitri Young was picked by the Devil Rays and then traded back to Cincy. So, yeah. Here you go, Cairo. Played for 10 different major league teams. I don't know if I talked about him. Arizona took Omar Dahl from the Blue Jays organization, 31st overall in the draft. David DeLucci went 45th to Arizona from Baltimore. Arizona took catcher Damian Miller from Minnesota, and he became a good player. Randy Wynn went 58th to Tampa from the Florida organization, and he was a good guy. Arizona took Joe Randa, 57th from Pittsburgh. I think he went to the Royals in a trade. Brooks Kushnick went from the Cubs organization to Tampa Bay, 64th overall. Kelly Stinnett went 65th to Arizona from Milwaukee. And the last pick was Tampa, number 70, Vaughn Estelman to Oakland. There were some post-draft trades. The D-Rays trading Bobby Abreu to Philly for Kevin Stalker, which was a terrible move. Tampa would trade Andy Sheets and Brian Boehringer to San Diego for John Flaherty, which was a good move. D-Rays got the catcher, and Boehringer helped the Padres make the 98 finals. D-Rays traded Dimitri Young back to Cincy for Mike Kelly. Didn't work out. The Devil Rays actually purchased Fred McGriff from the Braves, so that was huge. Arizona would trade Gabe Alvarez, Joe Randa, and Matt Drews to Detroit for Travis Fryman, which was a solid move. The D-backs would trade Scott Winchester to Cincy for Felix Rodriguez. They would trade Jesus Martinez to Florida for Devon White, so Devo was a Diamondback, and would trade Chuck McElroy to Colorado for Harvey Polmian. The D-backs intended to spend money because the day before the expansion draft, they signed Jay Bell to a 5-year, $34 million contract when he was a free agent. Well, the Diamondbacks would then trade Fryman to Cleveland, well, after Detroit, for Matt Williams, which actually worked out well for Arizona. The D-Rays and Diamondbacks would have differing results. As we all know, the Diamondbacks actually shocked everyone by winning the division in their second season as a team in '99, but the Mets beat them in the playoffs somehow. The Diamondbacks 2 years later would win the NL West again and win the NL title, getting to the World Series the fastest of any expansion team in their fourth season, and beating the Yankees in that classic 7-game series. Unfortunately for the D-Rays, they would be near the bottom of the league almost every year and all that till 2008 when they finally got out of the shell. And, their talent had developed and all that. Tampa went to 2 World Series in 1998 and 2020, but 2008, 2020. And lost heavily. It was just so rude and all that. But yeah, these teams look good. And Arizona just got to the World Series in 2023, though they lost to the Rangers in 5. But yeah, it was fun. It was a good draft, and promises were made. Can't beat that. Anyhow, I'm Jeff Diamond.